This week on the Honor Podcast, we will be talking to 4 honor students who are also National Merit Scholars, the Ammad siblings and the Delikat siblings. We're going to talk all about sharing the college experience with family and how being a National Merit Scholar has shaped their experiences at USF. Hey Honors Bulls! Welcome to the Honor Roll Podcast, the flagship podcast of the Judy Genshaft Honors College podcast network. I'm your host, Caroline Merriman, a fourth-year student studying English and biology at the University of South Florida and a member of the Honors College. Today, my co-host is Fabiana Requena, a third-year student studying marketing and business analytics. Welcome back, Fabi. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, it's good to be here, Caroline.
Well, thanks for coming back again. As always, we like to start the podcast off with one big question. So my question this week is, how big of an influence is your family on your life?
I would say that I am very close with my family. A lot of my family doesn't live here in the United States, so I feel like I have like a relationship with them at a distance, and I only see them like really on vacations and stuff. But I would say that when it comes to like making decisions and stuff, I always kind of think about them and like what kind of advice they would give to me.
Yeah, I think when you're like close to your family, like they're always in the back of your mind. When
Yeah.
you're doing something, it's like, should I? Shouldn't I? Would my mom be happy if I was doing this kind of thing? I agree. My family's definitely very close. I've lived with my family for most of college, so they're right there for everything that I'm doing. So I think, yeah, it definitely aligns with like the decisions I think that they would make for me. I kind of try to make for myself as well.
Right.
Well, today we have joining us 2 sets of siblings. So we're going to get to see, all about their sibling dynamic, why they chose to come to USF, and their journey as National Merit Scholars as well. All that and more coming up next.
My name is Benjamin Young. I'm a faculty member at the Judy Genshaft Honors College. Incoming students should apply to the Honors College because it provides the framework for both community and personal development and professional development at a really deep, integrative level that makes the difference in the long run.
Hey Bulls! Today we are here with honor students Tehami Ammad, Muntahie Ammad, Jude Delikat, and Jacob Delikat, 2 sets of National Merit siblings, to hear all about their experiences at USF. Would each of you like to introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about your background?
All right. I'm Jacob Delikat. I'm an electrical engineering major here at USF in my second year. I was born and raised in Tampa. I've lived here my whole life, and I'm hoping to go into the MD PhD program with my electrical engineering and do research with medical devices. And yeah.
Awesome. I'm Jude. I'm Jacob's brother. I'm a senior here. I'm a pre-med student majoring in biomedical sciences.
Yeah, I'm Tehami. I'm a fourth year biomedical sciences and philosophy double major. I'm from Pennsylvania, and I hope that I could incorporate sort of the philosophical tradition into medicine somehow. I'm thinking about psychiatry, and I think it actually plays pretty well, sort of dovetails into sort of the flourishing components of an ethics in the philosophy that I've learned, and how that sort of plays into what we can do for people holistically.
I'm Muntahie Ammad. I'm a biomedical sciences major. I'm in the BSMD program right now, so hopefully I'll be here for like 7 years. Yeah.
Great. It was so nice to get to know each of you a little bit. Could you tell us a little bit more about like your sibling dynamic? Like who is the older sibling and who chose to go to USF first?
Yeah, so I'm the older sibling, Jude, and my parents are super needy, so there is no chance they were letting me leave. I did apply somewhat broadly around Florida, but being a Tampa native, I was happy to get into USF, and USF really made me feel special. They have so many benefits for National Merit students, so I kind of decided I'm going to stay at USF, pick USF, and really love my experience. I get to commute, I get to enjoy the campus life, and my brother luckily got to follow me here, and it's been great having him here as my support system and my best friend around. So,
Yeah, I'm Tehami, also the older sibling, and I agree 100% with everything he said. And even though we're from out of state, our parents are also super, I guess, protective, supportive, and I guess the main reason we even left the state is because the national merit and all the benefits the USF has, and so it's been great. It's also been nice to be out of state, but after 3 years on my own, it was nice to have my brother come, and now we're rooming together, so it feels more like that home atmosphere, which is something I've been very used to for most of my life.
Well, it's really cool how, all of you followed your older siblings here to USF and that you're getting to share in this experience together. Before we get into more about, why your family chose USF, why don't we explain what a National Merit Scholar is to the audience? So could you guys tell us a bit about what the award entails?
Yeah, National Merit is basically it's the PSAT test that you take in junior year of high school, and if you score above a certain threshold on that exam, you get awarded this scholarship, and it comes with a bunch of benefits, perks. It depends on the university, but nationally it is a very prestigious and highly esteemed sort of accolade that you get.
Well, I'd like to add to that is that technically when you get the PSAT score, that qualifies you to be a semifinalist, and then you have to do like an extra application to be the finalist, which gives you like which award you get, and then there's like 3 different types of award. But the thing is, most people who become the semifinalist the majority of them become national merit finalists anyway. I think a lot of people who don't fill out the application. And the way it's based on state, it's like the top percentile of PSAT for each state. And afterwards, they award you like there's one reward that's like just a flat 2,500. There's one award that's like 500 per year for college specifically, and there's some for like companies. But I think that's only if your parent isn't a company. So those are that's like the full rundown.
And then can you explain how it relates to the college application process, what that looked like?
Well, one thing is in the National Merit Portal, you have to declare which college you want to apply to. So that kind of also, and then like it'll apply the National Merit benefit to that college if you get the college version. And for USF Benequisto, you need to apply it to the USF college if you want to get the Benequisto there, and if you don't get the 2,500 one.
Yes, just to add on to what he's saying. So when you're a National Merit student, you'll like understand that news when you're a senior in your early senior year. And when that happens, a lot of these schools will start reaching out to you. Some schools have they really do want National Merit students, so they'll have packages such as USF having the Benequisto scholarship and extra, supplements to that. And you have to make your decision relatively early, so it's really important in your senior year if you're a high school student listening. August, September, you need to start making that decision of where you want to go. You should check your emails. You're going to start getting National Merit benefit emails from all types of colleges, especially in Florida. It has a really big emphasis on keeping National Merit students. I'm sure the out-of-state student can speak on that. A lot of the Florida schools will be pushing for National Merit students. So you need to declare in a portal what school you want to attend because it's binding. You can't transfer to another school and have all your National Merit benefits follow you. Another thing I like to say is everyone always talks about the SAT and how important it is, but no one really ever talks about the PSAT. Looking back, the SAT is a big test and it's important to get into college, but the PSAT really paid the dividends, pays the bills now. And we'll get into that later, but I will say that the PSAT, if you're a high school student listening, is probably more important than the SAT, especially if you're able to get the National Merit Scholarship.
Now that you guys talked a bit about like what it means to become a National Merit Scholar, and you mentioned, Jacob, that it only takes like the top percentile of PSAT. What amount of work and preparation went into becoming a National Merit Scholar for you guys? I mean, you were so young in high school, getting ready for this huge test.
Well, I'd say that there's a lot of free resources available to prepare for the test. Like one that was really good, not sponsored by them, but it's Khan Academy, and they basically have like you can do a bunch of practice problems. So I just did like a few of those. Like I did a few of those each day, and then like studied, and then that's how I got my score in the PSAT that I needed. I just missed one question.
Wow.
That's impressive.
Yeah, so I would say Khan Academy is a great resource. It's free. It keeps improving. They have like new tools coming on. They have AI stuff. They have all these subjects, and they have a specific SAT, PSAT course with like passages and other strategies that you can take. There's also Reddit, which can be a great resource. They have a lot of free practice tests. It's a good community for people that are also shooting for National Merit and high scores. So you kind of get to hear other people's experiences and their strategies and approaches to achieving those kind of goals. And it's a really good way to kind of figure out your approach to get that score.
Yeah, and I think going on kind of what you touched on, we were really young, and I kind of didn't appreciate that. Part of what sort of got me here, I guess, was I was in high school. I was very much in that mindset of school is everything that I do in many ways, and um, looking back, I think a lot of that transferred the general skills it kind of takes to do well on tests. So I think that comes down to like paying attention in classes and uh, doing as much work as you can as a student so that you don't have to go out of your way to hyper prepare for this test, because it is, at the end of the day, it's a test about your general math and reading and writing skills. And these are the type of skills that you should just be cultivating, I think, just to be a more educated person. So I think if you're just studying for the test, you might be coming at it a little wrong. But if you're aiming to just educate yourself, learn, and that's why I think Khan Academy does a good job of just teaching you the concepts, like they said. So I think it kind of all comes together.
Yeah, I think a way to know like if you've like gotten there is just by taking the practice tests. That's definitely like the thing that helped me the most, just taking a bunch of practice tests because it like literally prepares you for the exact type of questions they're gonna ask.
Especially the College Board tests in particular, the company that oversees all this, because nothing quite feels the same as their practice tests, I've noticed.
Thing is, I think that they're changing up the format soon to like a digital version. But I still think that the best resource is probably like the PSAT for freshman and sophomore year, because they actually give you like a breakdown of what you got wrong. You can use that for the last test, the junior year one. That's most important, in my opinion, at least.
This makes me curious, and I wanted to ask what high school was like for each of you. So, did you have like any sibling rivalry that kind of like fueled that academic ambition?
Yeah, I guess we have a 3-year age gap. So, and then in that final year, when I was a senior and he was a freshman, it was COVID. So, uh, I think Muntahie can probably speak to this. If there was that feeling of, I guess, like a positive peer pressure is a way I could think of it. But even before my senior year, we've always been very similar academically. We've been sing we've been similarly minded toward school, and I think for that, a lot of what we just talk about after school is, I would always be excited when he's taking the classes that I used to take, and just talking about, oh, I remember getting these questions. I remember doing this test. I remember this professor. I mean, this teacher, this middle school teacher, this high school teacher, and for us at least, as nerdy as it is, we were always bonding over that, having fun, talking about, oh, I remember when I was in psych, and oh, you have this teacher, I had the other one. So that kind of thing. I think it was a very fun atmosphere.
In that way, were you able to like give him advice?
Yeah. Yeah, I think you can.
Yeah, I think it was less of a rivalry and more of like someone who I could just like ask for help whenever I needed it, and like someone who I could compare my experiences to and see like how he went through these things.
Yeah, I think I agree with that kind of dynamic. Like, I think we more so gave each other tips. So I think it was mainly him giving me tips on like most classes and like what teachers are the best, or what classes to take. And the only thing I could really help him on is like programming, because I'm more tech minded. So I guess I helped him out in that way. But other than that, I didn't. Other than that, it was mainly him helping me, in my opinion.
Yeah, so we have a 2-year age gap, and I will say I was very happy when he came because he started helping me with my homework. But I will say that we are very different students, so maybe some teachers may not have liked me, and I kind of set him up for that. But since he's so different, and they really, got to enjoy both of us, and I would say that having your brother there, what I was able to do is all the mistakes that I made throughout high school, I was able to tell him what he can do to improve them, so that way he can have a better path to success. I really pushed for like academic success, and I became like valedictorian in my high school. And then 2 years later, he also became valedictorian, but he set the record for like the highest GPA. So he basically just continuously one-ups me in every academic achievement. But that's what like my goal is, to make him like the best version of himself, and I want him to surpass all the metrics that I'm able to surpass. And because we're the older siblings, there's a way that they can do that. If you're able to tell them what you wish you would have done better, they can focus on that. And that way, down the family line, if you have multiple siblings or something, you want the oldest sibling to kind of be the test dummy that screws everything up, but eventually the younger siblings get to benefit from those mistakes still.
As younger siblings, do you feel that kind of pressure from your older siblings to do so well?
I don't know. I think my brother is very accommodating. He kind of helps me out when I'm doing bad, though. But I don't feel like stressed about it or pressured. But also, usually I just try to do it on my own as well because I have my own reasons to do it. So maybe that's part of it as well. If I was just like not wanting to do anything, maybe it'd be more pressuring. But I think that would be actually good because I think I'd need to actually have a wake up call then. So not just.
I would say like it's not good to like compare yourself to anyone, especially someone so close to you as your sibling. We have like a really strong relationship, which I'm really grateful for. So I never feel like I'm comparing myself to my brother. I have a love for him, and I'm just like really, appreciative whenever he succeeds. And I think that we both have that kind of internal motivation to see each other do good. So it's not necessarily based on like being pressured into achieving certain things. It's we both want to do well, and we're both like trying to help each other get there.
I'd say sometimes it felt like he was pressuring me to take like certain classes, but then like after I'd end up taking them, I'd be like, yeah, this was definitely the right decision. Like one example was taking AP Human Geography. He like really told me to take this course because he really liked it, and after I ended up taking, it, I was like, yeah, that was definitely worth it. I learned really a lot of valuable skills from that course.
Yeah, I think even till now, if there's any pressure, it's kind of me like very forcefully doing it. Like in this semester, I kind of pushed him even to take more classes than he was going to, and I think part of that is just because I know he can do it. So I'm like, you should do this because you can.
I am also a younger sibling. I have 3 older siblings, and I think we definitely benefit off of like watching our older siblings make mistakes, but also like having them be like our greatest mentor. I think that's a really cool relationship to get to have. I feel like all of you are very equally motivated in being, extremely dedicated to academics and being high achieving. Where did that motivation come from? What inspired you to put so much effort into school, especially in high school when a lot of people don't really care?
I'd say honestly, our parents, because my dad put a lot of emphasis on academics because he was went to college as well in Pakistan, and then he like knew how important education was and how necessary it is, especially for future careers.
Yeah, I think parents created an atmosphere that was both in favor of academics, but at the same time, I never felt like pressured to do it. It wasn't like, um, I guess it wasn't as stereotypically tiger parenting, that kind of thing. It was more like, this is something you should respect and value. And I think I took that to heart, and it became something that I really cared for, and then ended up also being something I was really good at. So it just felt natural for me to pursue academic success.
Yeah, it's perfect. I would say that our parents are definitely a huge deal. They have always supported us and been super nurturing and have taught us the values of like education. But just like they were all saying, I wouldn't say my parents are necessarily tiger parents all the time, maybe sometimes, but I would say that they really do create a positive environment. So we're very lucky to have that. That gave us the opportunity to, pursue our own interests and feel, free to do that. I would say that I kind of agree with what he's saying. You do want to break out of if you're someone who doesn't really necessarily like academics. If you get like behind and there's a foundation gap, you will end up always having those gaps, and they'll just keep developing bigger and bigger and bigger. So really, it's important early on to find those gaps and try to close them as much as possible because it will help out later. And you don't want to be fighting from behind your whole, education.
It's so nice to hear that you all found this ambition kind of on your own, really. Like, yes, you did have this background like at home and everything, but you don't feel pressured. And that's like a really nice relationship to have with academics.
Are you interested in graduate study, prestigious scholarships, studying abroad? Serving all 3 USF campuses, the Office of National Scholars, ONS, mentors USF students for prestigious awards and scholarship programs focused on research, international education, graduate study, and intellectual development. If you're interested in applying for awards like Fulbright, Rhodes, or Marshall, don't wait. Meet with an ONS advisor to discover what's possible. You can visit the ONS website or drop by their office on the 2nd floor of the Judy Genshaft Honors College building to learn more.
So I wanted to get into why each of you chose USF. Can you kind of comment on how one sibling impacted the other's decisions on coming to USF?
Yeah, for me, I chose USF because the national merit benefits were tremendous. It's undeniable how important that was. But at the same time, I also found USF to be a very um, good school for the medical field. It's a school that has a very strong competitive med school, which is USF Morsani. And as a result of that, I think they have a really good atmosphere at the undergraduate level where they have a lot of professors and resources that understand the med school application process. So whether or not you apply or go to Morsani, they have a really good atmosphere for that. And even though when I was applying, I wasn't sure that I would do medicine, I was sure that I wanted it to be an option. And I think that also played a factor in choosing USF. And along with that, as much as I like being at home, I kind of wanted to try, at least for a couple years, to be away from home to see how I feel about it, because I think it did help me develop that independence. And now I can more confidently say that I do prefer being at home. But I think it took being away for me to like fully digest that.
Yeah, so I'm from Tampa, so I really did want to stay in Tampa. But one thing I did appreciate was even when applying to different Florida schools with the national merit, scholarship in mind, I felt that USF did a great job of really reaching out to me and making me feel desired. Usually it's the student, begging these colleges to let them in. But I would say that USF was really, maybe it's a how you can speak on this, at the time, especially this was like 2020, 2021. They were really reaching out. They have their own national merit coordinator. They had a bunch of advisors reaching out. They were trying to schedule meetings with us. They had scholarships they were offering us in addition to the national merit scholarship. There were a bunch of other study abroad scholarships and stuff. We were in an AOK class for a scholarship we got, and I would say there was 10 national merits in there. It was all national merit students. So they try to get their national merit students to come here. They still do that. They still have the opportunities for out-of-state students, even though Florida has actually cut down on out-of-state students coming from the Bennequist Scholarship. They still have their own deal now, I think, for freshmen. So it's really impressive. They really do want those students to come. And I would say that when I came to school here, they didn't even have an honors college. But one thing they kept saying is we really do prioritize academic students, academic success. We're developing our honors college more and more. And they were not lying. They made this beautiful honors college building that I'm sitting in today. And I would say I've seen so much growth, so much construction, so much expansion at this school since I've been here only for a short time. And I would say I'm really proud to be a Bull, and I'm happy, really, really loving and for USF, and proud that I made this decision. So
Yeah, for sure. Just quickly off that, I didn't know what to expect as well coming into it 4 years ago. But like Jude was saying, they really showed to me that they cared, especially these past 4 years. I've seen time and time again that USF is a school that wants its students to become better and they want to do better. And this building is definitely a testament to that. So,
Well, I would say I'm Jude's brother again. Yeah, I just want to let you. Yeah. All right. I would say that my choice was definitely informed by my brother coming here. I love the USF amenities though, but a lot of it is about like the building up of knowledge of like what professors are good and what to expect in the college. Like I did apply to other schools. I was pretty much locked into USF, but now that I'm here, I think that there's a lot of good stuff here. There's a lot of research opportunities. A lot of it is based on medical, and I did try to do some engineering research as well. But also, I'm glad that they're adding a new AI track. That also really cemented my decision. Because like when I went to there's like a tour that I went to that was for national merits, and they said that they're adding a new AI track as well. So I think that really cemented my decision. Like I don't know, like. Yeah.
yeah. And I would
good.
say that I got to bring him to USF a couple of nights when I was a freshman, and he was still in high school. So I think he liked being in the high school at the college campus, and I think that really made him want to go to USF as well.
Like Jude was talking about before, the Benequistos stopped for out of state, but USF like specifically made a scholarship that I could still get as an out of state national merit school student. But like other schools in Florida just stopped doing it for out of state because Benequisto stopped doing it out of state. So that was like they showed that they still wanted national merit from out of state, even though Florida in general stopped doing that. So that was like a big pull factor for me. And again, going back to my brother being like, being able to guide me through high school, I was like, I'd really appreciate that again in college because that helped me so much. So that was another factor that really impacted my college choice.
You guys have talked a lot about how like your sibling relationships have kind of carried on throughout your time in college, and that you've gotten closer over the years and been each other's support system. Do you guys have any like favorite memories or moments of getting to attend college with your sibling?
You guys want to go? I'll go
Rock, paper,
actually.
scissors.
I would say that I really, even when I was a freshman and sophomore and my brother wasn't here, I always had him kind of around. He would come and hang out with me sometimes at USF. But I would say that, junior and senior year is when we really started, getting closer because he was a student finally. And our junior year, we actually lived in the honors dorm together. So that was really fun being, roommates away from home. And we are still roommates now. And I would say that our favorite memories are always the ones where we're, out in the wild of USF doing something. So we go to events together. We always have, you want to expand on that a bit? We go to events together. You say your bit that you were saying.
Oh,
The bit that you were saying last night.
well, I kind of forgot.
Okay, well, he said a bit last night that was funny, I thought. The +1 thing.
Oh yeah. What I was gonna say was, hold on. Can you cut out the part where we're waffling about it? Okay. Oh yeah. Well, one thing I think about is that we always have a +1 to any event we want to go to. So like, if we want to go to like a concert, that like one time we went to the Young Gravy concert here, and we had each other as a +1, so we didn't have to just go alone to anything. I think that's one important thing. Like any USF event we want to go to, we have a +1. Somewhat harder I would say that it's somewhat harder in college to make memories together, because one thing is you pick your own schedule. So whereas in high school, like you could pick whatever classes you want within like a certain schedule, so we could pick like elective classes together even if we're not in the same level. Now it's more based on like what level you're in, especially since we're in different majors. Like that depends on what class you take, and then the electives, like the honors classes, those depend heavily on your schedule as well. So like a class that might work for him might not work for me, and vice versa. So that makes it harder to meet with each other during classes, but we can still hang out outside of classes like usual. But that does make it harder.
Yeah, I'd say we have even fewer memories together. So I was gonna say this, like this podcast right now is pretty cool. But also, I kind of agree with what they were saying, like going to events. Since Muntahie's only been here for like half a semester, but even in that short time, even though we had 2 hurricanes, I guess part of it was being able to just have someone else to go to. For instance, the like the USF pep rally and the homecoming week stuff that started sort of happening, and even with the hurricanes, it was kind of a memory that we went to our family's place in Orlando, and we kind of bunkered down for a week, and that was pretty memorable.
I'd say some of my favorite memories are when it's like 2 or 3 a.m. and we're just in our dorms procrastinating on homework or tests or studying. And we're just like basically delirious, making random comments and jokes while procrastinating what we should really be studying.
Yeah, I think since we both have a similar level of procrastination, you could say that it ends up feeding into it. It kind of reinforces itself. Yeah, especially when we should be asleep.
That's so cute. You guys have like a built-in best friend. I'm an only child, so this is a new experience for me. So as National Merit Scholars, you receive a lot of additional support, such as financial resources and your own NMS advisor. How has that really helped you achieve your goals and get the most out of your university experience here at USF?
Yeah, so I would say that one of my favorite moments at USF is the first time I ever received my Benequisto scholarship. I get it once a semester, and it's always my favorite day of that semester. USF pays full tuition. I mean, the Benequisto scholarship for getting national merit gives you full tuition for any class you take, and then in addition to that, it covers your housing. So let's say you live on campus, it'll cover that fully, and then it also gives you about, after paying basically for your cost of attendance and your tuition and your living, you get an additional $5,000 or $6,000 on average. So you get that once a semester. You get it like $10,000 or $12,000 a semester. I mean, a year. Let's say if you're living on campus, and then you get that times 4 years, it's about $40,000. It's insane, and that's probably I don't really think I'll appreciate that now. I appreciate that now. I don't know what I'm talking about, but I'm saying that I don't really see that value until later on in life. So many people have to unfortunately take on a lot of debt and stuff to go through college, and I feel super grateful for USF for taking that burden off of me and allowing me to have that time to save that money and to pursue my own interests rather than having to necessarily work about meeting having to pay for everything myself. It does save a lot of time, and I would say that that's one of the things that the NMS advisor, Miss Audra, does, is she really emphasizes that gift of time that comes with the Benicosa scholarship. You have all this, since you have this great gift, you can't just go and spend it on something immediately when you get your check. It shouldn't be like a payday thing. Hopefully you're saving that money and using it so that you can develop yourself further and explore those interests without having to necessarily work a job on the side that's maybe not contributing as much directly to your goals. But
I should have studied for my PSAT. I'm realizing that now. Big flop.
I'd say there's a lot of national merit events, and there's a lot of there's a special national merit advisor, Audra Begg, who I think is very nice. But I don't think I've actually been taking full advantage of the national merit support structures, but I know that they're there and I could use them whenever I need them. So I think that's more just like an insurance thing. But currently, I'm just using my brother as the advisor. So I don't really usually I just talk to my advisor whenever I need him. But I think my brother's a better advisor than them. But I think I'm gonna need him more.
Edit that out. We're not trying to get canceled.
Oh yeah, edit that out. But
we love Audra.
We love Audra, but I'm just gonna say I'm probably gonna need her more when my brother's gone because I'm gonna have that because he's gonna be graduating, so I'm gonna need her more. So. Love you, Audra.
Yeah, and I guess also what Audra does is also really facilitate the community aspect, which I think is another part of the support system here. It feels like within the Honors College or within USF, there's a much smaller community of national merit students, scholars, and I think that's also a really cool aspect. Like even Jude and I, we've known each other since AOK, and we had a bunch of national merit students in that class, but when we see each other again, usually it's like national merit events and that kind of thing, and sort of creates this familiarity, this feeling of, oh, there are other people here that are like me, and it really helps you feel at home.
I mean, honestly, I've been here for half a semester, so I haven't really accomplished much using these resources. But the one thing I've been to is the ice cream social for national merit, and it was a pretty fun time. I made a connection there with a senior. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that it's really good to just meet other national merit students here. Usually they're doing something and they need people to come and support them. And usually they'll reach out to their national merit, peers to do that. And then when you do something as a national merit student, you can call on them for help as well. So it's a good network. And I would say a lot of my friends have somehow just always ended up being national merit students here because especially when we started, they are the people we meet. I would say they really do try to get national merit students to meet each other within the first, couple months of being at USF. So those just naturally end up kind of being a lot of your friends.
Yeah, it's really cool that you guys have that little community within, the college to, relate to people who can kind of share with your experiences and where you're at in college as well. You guys also mentioned that you're also honors students. So what have you enjoyed about being a student in the Honors College and how has it shaped your experience here at USF?
I think the Honors College has been my favorite aspect of USF, just in general. The professors, the students, the community, this building, the resources. I got to study abroad, take a semester in Exeter, which was life-changing. I think it was transformative. It was definitely one of the best experiences of my life. That was through the Honors College and with Dr. Young, who's also a professor that I really admire, and I'm glad that I get to do research with now. And I think it really comes together because also with Dr. Young, what he has is he actually invented the acquisition of knowledge class, which I think a lot of students are iffy about, but that class, along with Honors Foundations, really sets the stage for always having this feeling of incorporating the first years into the honors community. And I think it really is important because it familiarizes them with at least one honors professor, and all of this just makes it feel like there's people that I know, there's people that I can trust, and there's this broader web of ambition and opportunity and just support. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm super grateful for the Honors College. Like he said, there's lots of opportunities and scholarships available for studying abroad. I would say that was probably my favorite thing that I've done. I got to study abroad through the Honors College to South Korea this past summer, and it was so much fun. I would say that if you could definitely study abroad. They don't just have it for, one or two places. They have like 8 or 9 programs every year. And that's for all different kinds of terms: fall, spring, summer. There's, long ones, semester long ones, or short ones that are, 3 to 6 weeks. And I would say it's a great way to meet people and a great way to experience like a new place, especially with like a tour guide and a group that, you can kind of go somewhere new without, feeling those kind of anxieties of being alone there. I would also say that another thing I really liked about the honors college is the honors LLC was really nice. Having like a bunch of like USF honors college students in one place, it felt like it was a good way to meet people. I didn't get to do it my freshman year. I lived in like traditional housing, and I would say that that's like one of my biggest regrets at USF. So if like you're a future USF student listening to this and you're an honors college student, try to live in the honors dorm. It's a lot of fun. It seems like it's a great environment.
All right. Well, I guess the other part of the honors college, I know they covered the study abroad. I'm still trying to just decide which one of those to take. But the other aspect is like the special classes that you can take as well. And I think that they're very interesting. Like one class I'm taking this semester that my brother also took, and I took on the recommendation of him, is you can talk with a congressman, Gus Ruckus, and you can get a lot of insight on the U.S. government. I think it's basically like you can get a lot of eclectic like information from a lot of different sources, because normally when you do a major, you just do only that major, especially like if you do the gen eds beforehand, because like I didn't have to take an English class yet, but because I took the English class before going to college. But in the honors college, I took a class where you use AI to make a graphic novel, like because they wanted to learn how to use AI to integrate stuff. I thought it'd be more of an AI class, but it also had it had a lot of like literature stuff that I learned as well. So because I know that they emphasize interdisciplinary studies a lot, and that's kind of what I want to do with my field somewhat. As you heard from my introduction, I want to like meld my skills together. So I think that's what the honors college really facilitates with this classes as well.
Yeah, I'd say the same thing. I'm in the BSMD program, as I mentioned before, and we have like a laid out schedule of like STEM courses that we basically have to take in a certain time frame. So having these honors courses that can fit within that, and with their vast like topics, it like really adds like flavor, I guess, to my schedule, where I have these classes that are completely different than these STEM classes that are just like tests, lab, and just studying. So it's like, I'd say it really diversifies my class schedule.
The last question I wanted to ask is what piece of advice you'd give to other National Merit Scholars in search of a university to attend?
I guess I'll just do a straight plug. Come to USF.
Go Bulls.
Come here. Go Bulls. Don't go to UF. No, I'm just kidding. There are rivals.
No, I would say that I kind of agree. I would say go wherever you feel like you will fit in the best, whether that's staying close to your family or, going somewhere new. Florida is a really great state in that a lot of these universities have great opportunities for national merit students. But I would say that especially if you're an out-of-state student, I'm not sure what the policies are from other schools, but USF still, at this time, today, still takes out-of-state students. So that's a really great thing with the benefits of scholarship. But not, on their own, not the benefits of scholarship. But for me, I would say go where you're going to get the most return on investment. And I would say I'm so grateful I got to USF. I've, saved so much money. I've made a lot of money too. And I would say that I am very appreciative for the experiences I've gotten here. Go somewhere where you feel like you can thrive and you can find a network. So, do research on that university before going, scout out whether you want to do research or get involved. Look at those opportunities online before you're applying. That way you kind of have a plan of what you want to do. And then when you get there, you can do other stuff in addition. So,
Yeah, for sure. Return on investment is important. Take a look at, especially if you're a National Merit Scholar, every university sort of has different benefits. And I know like the state of Texas and the state of Florida, those are two states that really push for trying to attract National Merit Scholars. So just do your research. That's something maybe I should have done earlier, because I'm glad I ended up at USF, but it was almost too late because I didn't even realize that there were schools that would do this much in my senior year. My friend told me about this, and I was like, oh, I should apply then. And so just do your research earlier than later, and really think about recognize that you have something that's worth that means something to these universities.
Yeah, I kind of had a easier path. I knew like beforehand, like even from like 10th grade, that USF had these opportunities because Tehami went here, and the other one, they're so we're from Pennsylvania, and I had to look at a lot of out of state schools for national merit benefits, and the main two were in Texas and Florida, and USF just I felt better fit me for especially my medical interests. Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely a school for everyone. And so just like doing that research ahead of time to know, what's best for you. I think a lot of people wait and then they realize, oh, shoot, these deadlines are due. And I, haven't taken the time to really contemplate that decision. So I'm sure a lot of people are really thankful for all your advice. All right. Well, that is all the time we have today. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you. It was great meeting you guys.
All right, we are back in the studio. That was such a fun podcast. I loved seeing just the dynamic between the siblings, and I love their little like inside jokes and how they really act as mentors from each other, not just older sibling to younger sibling, but vice versa. I feel like they both have a lot to learn from each other.
Yeah, I also followed my older siblings here. So it's really cool just to see like kind of how that sibling bond carries. I think you hear a lot about how like siblings fight with each other in war and have rivalries, but I think a lot of the times it's actually different. And like USF actually has like 8 national merit siblings in the school right now. So I think, that just kind of holds true, how much siblings care about each other.
Right. I think it's so cool that they choose to kind of follow in their footsteps, but it sounds like, they are separate. They have their own identities. They just kind of chose to do it on their own, which I think is really cool.
And with that said, don't forget to check the Honor Roll newsletter and our website at usf.edu/honors for upcoming events, updates, and news. That will do it for this week's episode. The Honor Roll podcast is recorded in the Judy Genshaft Honors College at the University of South Florida Tampa campus. Production assistance is provided by honors students Sandra Napolitano and Andrew Nyo. Thank you all so much for listening. Please do not forget to rate and review our podcast. We appreciate your feedback. Please tune in next week where we hear more honor stories and talk to more members of the Judy Genshaft Honors College.
Until next time, go Bulls!